Hey, hey, hey. Oh my gosh. We are going to be digging in today. We are talking about, woo, drum rolls, please, being unapologetically worthy. Step into your full potential. So, listen to me, y'all. Listen, this has been, a topic that has always been at the forefront of everything that I do. But lately, I've been talking to so many women, and this topic of worthiness has come up so much for us. And so I'm excited to dig in today because I have some things to say about the topic of worthiness. All right, y'all, right after this. Okay. So unapologetically worthy. When I was thinking of like what to call this episode of the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show, I really wanted it to speak to people. And that spoke to me because I think that we all should be striving to be unapologetically worthy because we are worthy. But here's the thing, most of us do not think that we are worthy. So, how did I even get to this topic today, right? Because worthiness has been one of those things that's always, around, and we always talk about it, but maybe not in depth, and some things that we don't think about a lot. A lot of times we think about self-confidence, but not necessarily worthiness. And so how I got here was my assistant Nicole. Shout out to Nicole, love you so much. She told me one day that she was doing a new challenge, kind of like a weight loss, personal development challenge and everything like that, called the 75 soft. And I'm like, what in the world is 75 soft? And she explained it to me. And for those of you who don't know, go ahead and Google it. But it's a whole personal development plan where you can literally you have to read 10 pages a day in a physical book, a self-help book. You have to work out once a day for at least 45 minutes. You have to drink at least 3 liters of water, and you have to, what is the last one, um 3 liters of water, and you have to eat healthy. You have to choose a healthy eating plan. And for me, y'all know I've been on this journey of just trying to consistently improve my health because I teach it, right? I believe that we cannot be our best selves if we're not healthy. I don't really have a problem working out. 75 hard is double all of that, right? Like, and so for me, I figured I could do the 75 soft. She's doing it, her sisters are doing it. And I'm like, okay, this is great. But then I was like, read a physical book every day. I don't know about y'all, but I'm in the audio book era. And my book, Get Courageous Now, you can get it on Audible. I have over 150 titles on Audible. So I normally listen to my book a lot of times when, guess what? I'm working out. But this was a challenge for me because I used to read all the time. And so I was like, okay, I need to get back into reading, but what am I going to read? If you came into my library, you would see I have a cajillion books. Y'all know I love that word. And so I have so many books, and some of them I haven't read. And Worthy mm, by Jamie Kern Lima was one of those books. And I was like, well, I want to read this book because number one, I think we all can learn something about being worthy. And I'm a person who's been through so many trials and challenges, and I consider myself, I feel pretty worthy, but at the end of the day, I always think that sometimes we still have something to learn. And a lot of times when we feel like we don't lack in a certain area, then we don't dig into that area. Well, I'm the opposite, right? I knew that I could learn something from this book, and it is, oh my God, it's so amazing. It's called Worthy: How to Believe You Are Enough and Transform Your Life. And Believing that you are enough is one of those things that I tell so many people that I meet because I understand what it feels like to not feel like I am enough, right? I think a lot of us can wake up and feel like we don't add up or we're not enough because we don't look like the definition of what our parents want us to look like, or we don't look like the definition of what our sister or our friends look like, and it begins to place this void in our lives for worthiness, and then we start doing this thing called striving for success. Have you done that? Like a lot of times when you don't feel like you are up to par, or you feel like you are an imposter, you have the imposter syndrome, you start striving for more and more success only to fall, and realize you still don't feel worthy of the success that you have. You might not feel worthy of the family that you have. You might not feel worthy of the job that you have. And I think that it's a travesty. And I do know that you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I felt like that in my entire life. And then one of the quotes that stuck out to me in Jamie's book is so profound. It says, in life, you don't soar to the level of your hopes and dreams. You stay stuck at the level of your self worth. Mm, mm, mm. You don't rise to what you believe is possible. You fall to what you believe you are worthy of. Oh my goodness. Stop, stop the bus, stop the presses. When I read that, I was like, oh my God, this couldn't be more true. Like a lot of times we are trying to reach all these big hopes, all these dreams in our life. But at the end of the day, if we don't feel like we're worthy of those things, then we're not going to get there. And or we fall because we just didn't believe that we were worthy enough. It's really interesting because in my life, I've I've been in business. I have been just working so hard to just try to work in my God-given gift, but at the end of the day, back early on, I was really consumed with success. How many, followers, how much money, all these things. And I was trying to, climb that ladder of success only to only to feel unworthy of having that whole success. I even almost didn't start my business of speaking and pouring into the lives of women because I was like, who's going to listen to me? Like, who's going to listen to a teenage mother who used to have a mom who was addicted to drugs? And, I'm trying to start a business, but I ain't there yet. I don't make a lot of money. Who's going to listen to me? Because it was deep-seated unworthiness that I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to even start the business. Even though, here's the thing though, even though I was called by God to pour into the lives of women, I was called, but yet and still, I have these deep seated feelings of unworthiness. Maybe you have the same. If you're here with me today, joining me live for the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show, please drop your name and where you are tuning in from in the chat. You can also put your comments and your questions in the chat as well. I would love to see them. Y'all let me know that y'all here with me, and I love to see it, and I appreciate y'all. And so when Jamie said this quote, in life, you don't soar to the level of your hopes and dreams. You stay stuck at the level of your self worth. You don't rise to what you believe is possible. You fall to what you believe you are worthy of. She also says you don't become what you want. You become what you believe you are worthy of in life, in love, in friendships, in your career, and your hopes and dreams. Listen, Jamie, I could throw this whole book at you. So if y'all are just tuning in, we're talking about Jamie Kern's Lima's book, Worthy. And I am just profound. Like when I sit back and I think about my life And I think about all the things that I've gone through, and I realized that a lot of that in the past was really deep seated in just not feeling worthy. And I really wanted to, have this podcast, on the show today, really talk about this because I know that I'm not the only one. There are so many of us who are out there who are feeling like we don't belong, that we shouldn't have what we have, that we got here by false pretenses, that we are an imposter, when none of that is true. None of it's true, but that's just what we feel. She also talks about the difference between self-confidence and self-worth. And I think that it is worth noting because most of us try to work on our self-confidence, but not necessarily our self-worth. She says that self-worth is internal, deep-rooted belief that you are enough and worthy of love and belonging, just as you are. But on the other hand, self confidence is how you evaluate yourself based on your qualities, skills, and traits. It's also how strong you believe in your ability to meet life's challenges and your willingness to try to go for it and to succeed. Those are two different things. Self worth is internal, self confidence is external, it's predicated by external things. And I think that most of us, at the end of the day, we would rather work on our self confidence versus our self worth. And I know for a lot of years, I worked on my self confidence because I felt like that's the thing that I needed to work on. And it wasn't until I really, really started doing the work. And what do I mean by that? Doing the work of loving and becoming Kiki Ramsey. So many of us are so scared of doing the work that we just don't do it. We literally go throughout our lives just trying to build self-esteem, trying to be the best that we can, trying to, do the best that we can, but we don't do the work. And I had to go on a journey of my own personal development and do the work. And how I really, really, really started doing that was I started getting into therapy, right? Back when I got into therapy. I'm in therapy now still, right? Because I believe it. I believe in it. I believe we all should have it because sometimes we go through things that we really need to talk to a professional about. And I'm in that season in my life, right? So I'm still in therapy, but I started getting into therapy. And then I found the thing called coaching. And I went to coach training school. And here's the thing about coach training school. So many of you have reached out because you saw my article on the Business Insider about pivoting from social work into coaching and quadrupling my income. It's true. However, what I didn't know about coaching was that it was also going to change my life. Not only was I learning a skill that would help me help others change their lives, I also learned a skill that help me change my life, right? And so I got into coaching and things started to change and happen because I began to do the work. I began to dig into me and figure out my story and what stories am I telling myself as well, right? Because y'all know we tell ourselves story after story after story. And the stories that we tell ourselves are true to us until we challenge the stories that we tell ourselves. And there were a lot of stories that I had to challenge that I was telling myself about myself. And I think it's important for you to do the same. And I also think it's important to know that inherently you are enough. You're more than enough, just like you are. You ain't got to do a thing else to be enough. Not anything. I liken it to, the way God sees us, right? We can come to God, we can ask for forgiveness, we can ask to be saved, all those things. We don't have to be a certain way to do that. We don't have to have done everything right in our lives. We don't have to have it all together. We don't have to have any of those things. We can just come to the Lord and say that, I want to be your child. And there's nothing else required of us to keep that either. And that's how worthiness is for us. Like, you are enough. And you have to examine the stories that you've been told or that you chose to believe all this time that is making you think that you're not enough. I can remember back when I first started on my journey of just realizing and digging into my own self-worth, where I would, kind of blame my mom for all the things that happened to me in my life. And because I grew up in such, that kind of environment, I felt like I wasn't worthy enough of having even a good life. Let me just tell y'all, I went through so much as it pertains to money, not even feeling like I was worthy of making money. This is why it took me so long, partly to become successful when it came to money, is because I had such a poverty mindset, but because we grew up poor and that we never had money for, the nicer things or anything like that. I was thinking that I didn't deserve the nicer things because money is meant for bills. Come on, somebody. I know you hear me, because some of us think the same way, right? We think the same way. We have that poverty mindset that money is only meant for certain things like paying bills and surviving. Well, what if you don't want to just survive? What if you want to thrive? I'm all about thriving, right? Any of y'all who want to thrive, I invite you to the Thrive Society. It's my, membership group. We do coaching. You learn so many things in the group, but I'm all about thriving. And so I literally would spend every dime that came into my bank account because I felt like, number one, somebody was gonna come take it. Who? Don't ask me who. The people. Okay, the people. That's for another story. But the people. And two, I didn't deserve it. And God forbid we have money left over at the end of the month. There's no money. Who has money left over at the end of the month? No, there's no money. We don't deserve no money left over at the end of the month. So I would sabotage it, because that's what we do when we feel like we're unworthy. I would sabotage it, and there was always something that we had to do with that money. So there was never money, never a buffer, never any of those things, because inherently I didn't feel like I was worthy of having that. And let me tell you, I had to do some work on myself because my husband was fit to be tired with me. Okay. He was fit to be tired that I would consistently spend all of our money and we never had savings. I'm so glad we still together to this day. 21 years and counting. Right. But I had to overcome that. I had to overcome that. And so if you've been feeling like me, you know, just feelings of just not feeling like you add up or that you really matter, I want to be one of the first persons to say, you do matter. You do matter. And you matter just the way you are. Just the way you are. And so instead of trying to build your self confidence, I want us to dig into what it takes to build your worthiness, because it needs to start now if you're going to start really going through a process of loving and caring for yourself. Worthiness is an inside job. It truly is. And some of us, we are super scared to sit down and really face the fact that this is how we feel. Because I mean, who wants to admit that, oh my God, I feel unworthy? Like, most people are not going to admit that. I mean, people will admit, I'm just a little shy. I don't really have that, that self-confidence. But unworthiness, people don't necessarily come up to you and admit you're unworthy, that they feel unworthy. This is something that you have to tell yourself that you feel so that we can face it head on. So, one of the things I want you to do right now is if you do feel like you have a problem being unapologetically worthy, I want you to think about and challenge your limiting beliefs. You got to challenge your limiting beliefs. You have to challenge them. When I was dealing with my poverty mindset and my money, one of the limiting beliefs that I had to challenge was that money don't grow on trees. How many times have y'all heard that as a young person? My mom used to say that all the time. No, we can't do that. You know, money don't grow on trees. No, you can't do that. No, money doesn't grow on trees. And I'm like, I've heard it so much that it just continue to perpetuate in my ear and in my mind consistently. Money don't go on trees. So therefore, there's always a lack of money. Therefore, you can't get what you want because there's not enough money because money don't grow on trees. That was a limiting belief that I had. And it was perpetuated because I inherently got that messaging and I didn't never know if I was going to get money. And so here's the thing, when I got money, because money don't grow on trees, I didn't deserve the money. But we all got these limiting beliefs that we believe. And as a coach, I I tend to always challenge my clients' limiting beliefs because we all have them. I still even have some to this day that I consistently challenge them, but I'm brave enough, right, to challenge the limiting belief. And you have to be aware enough. This is where emotional intelligence comes into play. You have to be aware enough to understand that you have limiting beliefs because some of us don't feel like we have them. I call it the self limiter, right? We all got two sides, right? We got that side that speaks confident, and we got that self limiter that's going to always bring up the negative side of things. And then I always challenge it. So when you challenge your negative beliefs, here's what you're going to do. You're going to ask yourself if it's true. If it's true, is your negative and your limiting belief about yourself and what you've believed all your life, is it true? Chances are it ain't true. But we've been telling ourselves this for so long that it seems true. You have to challenge it. I had to challenge myself and say, all right, money don't grow on trees. Okay, well, maybe they do because you can, I hear a lot of people say, well, money is made out of paper and paper, is made out of trees, all of that. But when I dig into it, it's just a question of lack, right? Money may not grow on trees, but can I have enough money? I can. Am I worthy enough money? I am. Am I worthy of abundance? I absolutely am. And it was something that I had to keep telling myself on a consistent basis. It wasn't something that I automatically was like, you know what? Money don't grow on trees. I deserve a lot of money. Let me go get it. Because that's not what showed up in my behavior. What showed up in my behavior was still the fact that I believed that money didn't grow on trees and there was always a lack of money. Therefore, I had to always spend money on bills. And if I spent money on anything else, then I was a bad person. And when I did spend money on other stuff, because that's what that poverty mindset does to you, then you overspend on stuff and then you really feel bad because you messed up. So it is this self perpetuating cycle that you go through when you have a limiting belief about who you are and innately who you can be. Because you can be amazing, but you have to first be aware that you have these beliefs. So, what are your beliefs? What are your beliefs about relationships? I've talked to so many women who are in a space or in a season in their lives where they want a partner, but they don't have that person. and they have this belief about themselves that they're not even deserving of a person until you can understand that you are not only deserving of a person, but you're deserving of someone who is amazingly made for you. It won't come. Because what'll happen is when that person shows up, you will somehow self sabotage that relationship. Because that's probably, I'm just giving you some things to think about, right? That may have happened in the past. It may have happened in the past. Because here's what we do when it comes to relationships. You can always find something wrong with somebody. Let me just tell you, woo, child, you can always find something wrong with somebody. And had I not met the right person and had been doing my work when I was doing my work, I might not be married to this day to my husband, right? Because if I'm not feeling worthy, what's going to make me feel worthy of this amazing man coming into my life, right? I tried to break up with my husband 1,000 times before we got married, but he was like, yeah, no, we're not having that. And I also began praying and doing work on me and asking the Lord, is this the right person for me? Do I deserve this person and all of that? And he showed me that I did, but it was over a period of time and it took me some time. And even when things went wrong in our relationship that was caused by me, I even began to doubt that I was worthy of the relationship. But I was reminded, number one, by my husband, who was amazing, that I was worthy. And then I continued to do the work to know that I deserve this. I deserve a loving partner who adores me and is going to give me the unconditional love that I have always wanted. But it started with me learning how to be worthy. So the first thing I want you to do is I need for you to challenge. Well, number one, be aware. be be aware, admit that you feel this way, right? We can't solve something that we don't admit. I was never able to conquer my money problems, right? My poverty mindset until I realized that I had one, right? Like until I realized that this was a problem. And somebody, my husband had to bring that to mind. He was like, "You always do this. You always do this around money. You keep doing this." And I'm like, "No, I don't. No, I don't. I know how to budget. I know how to save. I know how to do any of this." And he was like, "You don't though. Where's the evidence that you know how to do it?" Let me let me tell y'all something. If you have not done a thing and can prove that you've done a thing, then you don't know how to do it. Oh my god, I hope y'all getting this because I'm dropping some jewels for y'all. I see y'all out there listening, and I appreciate y'all being here, right? But I always said like, I know how to save, I know how to budget, but I wasn't doing it. So boo boo, you don't know how to do that. You need to learn how to do that. I needed to learn. I didn't know. I didn't know how to really save because guess what? I ain't had no savings. Because a lot of times we're like, well, I ain't got nothing to save. Listen, I don't care if you make 50 cents an hour. You can save 2 cents. It's a habit. It's a habit. So you got to first admit that you're dealing with this thing called unworthiness. And then you have to acknowledge that you have limiting beliefs because we all do it. Limiting beliefs are like bias. We all have bias, right? Bias ain't just for the whole DEI world. We all have bias, right? Limiting beliefs are just like bias. We all have it in some area of our life. You may not have a limiting belief in your money, but you might have some in your relationships. You might have a limiting belief in your spiritual life, but you might not have it in your career. We all have them somewhere in our lives. And then you have to challenge your limiting beliefs. You have to ask yourself, are they true? What is the evidence that they are true? And chances are you ain't got no evidence. They are absolutely not true. And then from there, there's a couple more things I want you to do. Number one, surround yourself with people who affirm your worth. I can't tell you how important this is. And this is not about external validation, right? You have to be around people who believe in you just as you are. You have to be around people that you can show up who you are unapologetically and just be. I have a core group of friends, right? A core group of friends who I can show up and just be Kiki, not Dr. Kiki, but Kiki, right? And they don't judge me. They love me, and I can be who I am. I have a husband who loves me unconditionally. He's been with me. We done been together, married for 21 years. We done seen it all, done it all together. I can be me. I can let my hair down. I can cry about things. I can do all that because I have a system, a support system who allows me to show up. Because some of us feel unworthy, we still feel like we have to wear a mask around the people who we love the most. And truth be told, in relationships, most people don't talk about feelings of unworthiness, right? You only talk about that if you really trust your partner or the people around you to be there and to let you know that, girl, you got this. I don't care what happens. You still good. You still good. I can remember, oh my God, I can remember um back in the day, I was having one of my events. I used to have an event called Get Courageous. And I was having this event, and something happened where I just didn't have enough registration or whatever. But because I wasn't great with money or anything like that, I had spent the money on trying to get the event together, but the event didn't come to fruition. So I kind of canceled the event and told everybody that I would, instead of refunding their money, I would, give them coaching. And at the time, the women didn't want the coaching, and I didn't have the money to give it back to them. And let me tell you how low I felt. Oh my God. I felt so unworthy of the platform that I felt that the Lord was leading me to. I just felt so unworthy. I cried profusely. I mean, we just didn't have the money. And my friend, my lovely, beautiful friend, Gail Crowder, she came to my rescue and she gave me the money to give back to those women. And I don't even think I told her this story. To this day, like, she made me feel like I was still worthy. And she told me, Kiki, these things happen. Like, it's okay. These things happen. Like, but I was like, but I feel so worthless. I feel like, maybe this is not my calling. She's like, girlfriend, you are tripping. This is absolutely your calling. This is just something that happened. You are still worthy. You are going to make it. And it was just that friendship and that, um, just that support that has always been in my life to help me get through. And I pray that you have that in your life. And if not, you got to go find it, because even if you have to pay for it, and there's nothing wrong with that, it's called therapy and it's called coaching. And I think we need both of those in our lives. So I provide that for my clients, and I hope they feel that. I provide that for my students. I hope they feel that. And then you got to set some boundaries and protect your time and energy, right, with other people in your space. And then you need to invest in personal growth. You really do need to get some books. I recommend this book to everybody, right? Worthy, right? Get this book. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for 75 Soft, the challenge that I'm doing, I wouldn't be reading this book. Now, I might have gotten it on Audible, which is where I listen to most of my books and stuff like that. But I'm loving getting back into reading this book because y'all see, I got stuff highlighted. You might get, okay. I got stuff highlighted. That's how I read, right? So I'm highlighting stuff. I can go back to stuff and reread what I said, and all of that. So go ahead, invest in this book for yourself. Invest in my book, Get Courageous Now: A Woman's Guide to Finding Her Passions and Purpose in Life, and invest in a coach or a therapist. We can help you change your life. Coaching and therapy helped me absolutely change my entire life. And a lot of times I know that I heard this story just the other day when somebody told them, "Oh, you need to get a coach." They were like, "That's a gimmick. Coaching don't work." Right? And they dismissed it and until they looked into it. Now they are a coach, right? Because they believe in it so much. We're here to help you get from A to where you want to be. And for me, I love working with my clients because I'm going on a journey with you. If nobody else believes in you, I do. If I choose to take you on as a client, because I don't choose everybody. But those are the steps that I want you to do. And then lastly, just celebrate. Celebrate your small wins, especially when you start to see that you are feeling more worthy of yourself, worthy of being who you are. Celebrate those wins because you deserve it. And then lastly, if nobody has told you this today, you are enough. You are absolutely enough. You don't got to do a single thing more to be enough. You are enough just as you are. And I hope that you take this from today's show. You matter. You are enough. All right, y'all. Woo! I got emotional up in here on today's show, but it's just the truth. I really want you to know that, right? I really want you to know that. And if you are struggling with, feelings of worthiness, I would love to be there to support you. Thrive Society is my membership community, but what I do is I coach because of my schedule, because of all the amazing things that the Lord has put in my life. I'm not complaining. Um, I just can't really coach a lot one-on-one as much as I want to. But in Thrive Society, that's a way for you to get direct access to me. And we have a live coaching call every single month. We have a workbook that comes with the theme of the month. I give you a curated video based on our theme of the month and daily inspiration directly coming from me. It ain't my assistant, it's me. So I'm always talking to you. I'm always going live in the group, and we have an amazing group of women in there. And I want you to join me. So if you go to kikiramsey.com, you can click on the button that says Thrive Society, and I will see you on the other side. Until then, just remember that you have the ability to create your own happiness, and you are more than enough. All right, y'all.